Now that we are finished with the set health and set armor, let's go ahead and deal the damage to the player. So here we have the any damage event that we used before, and we just used it to see if we actually deal damage to the player. So we checked that in the previous lessons where you hit the head, you do some damage. If you hit the body, you do another damage. And we can see it's printing, so it's actually working. So the any damage is working here. Okay, fine. So now we want to deal the real damage here. So whenever you deal damage, and this is coming from the apply damage. So if you go back to the shooting logic here for the trace, line trace, when you hit the player, you are dealing this damage. So if you apply damage to an actor, it will automatically go ahead and fire this any damage event if you receive the damage. Now, whatever damage you receive, this is the damage that you have applied here inside of the applied damage. And we set that inside of our data table. So we're applying damage to the player. And here in the any damage, what we can do now is we can take the current health for the player. And we can say, for example, right now my health is 100. Then we can say 100 minus, so we're subtracting 100 of health minus, let's say the damage was 10. That will be 90. So we have to set the health again. And before I do that, I like to have this clamp node. So I'm just making sure we're not going below 0. We don't want to have a health of minus 10, for example. So we're clamping this value to be the minimum is 0, so it can't go below 0 anymore. And the maximum, I'll just drag this one, get player max health, and plug it into here. So now it is clamped, and then we can set the health again. So let's set the health to this value that we have. Okay, so what is happening is basically you're dealing 10 damage, for example. So it's going to say the current health, which is 100 minus 10, that is 90. Going to go through here to make sure we don't go below 0. And so the value of 90 will be plugged into here. So now the new health that we have is actually 90. Now, instead of setting this health like this would work because if you have this icon, this means that this runs on the server. So if you hold the mouse over it and at the bottom it says authority only, this event only fires on the server. So again, it is okay to set variable, or it is correct to set variables on the server and then replicate them. That will work perfectly. However, remember we already made this set player health event, and this also updates the UI for us. So instead of just calling this UI again and we have to update the UI, so if we had to do it this way, we had to copy this, paste it here, and do it like this. So instead of doing this, we already did a function for or an event here. So let's say set player health, and we can just call that we just made, and we can plug it into here. And it will automatically just go through this and update the UI as well because we called it here. Fine. All right. Awesome. Now, also here for the death, if the current health is equal to 0, and we can make a branch. If that is true, we want to call a death event. So this is when the player dies, when the current health is 0. So we'll do that later. But for now, we have this connected. Okay, let's click on play and see if it actually works. So here, if I just take a weapon and I shoot the player, now you see the player has 90 health here. Awesome. And if I shoot the head, he should minus 20. So now I have 70 health. Okay, so that is working correctly. And also let's try it on the server. So if the server shoots the client, let me just minimize this here. If the server shoots the client, and that is working as well. Awesome. And if I loot like another weapon here, that is working as well. All right, so that logic is working now. And let's go ahead and do the armor in the next lesson.